tight. We got the salt on it. Never touches the human hand.
Very good. Very
nice
good.
And full.
Thank you.
Good. This is fun. I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again. Now I have worked at McDonald. I've now worked for 15 minutes more than Kamala.
And still nobody can prove that Kamala ever worked at a McDonald's. And they've looked at the records and nobody can prove it. Joining us now to talk about French fries and burgers, Brooke Rollins, my dear friend, president and CEO of the America First Policy Institute. Mark Simone, WR Hall of Fame radio host, and Joe Concha, Fox News contributor and author of Progressively Worse, Why Today's Democrats Ain't Your Daddy's Donkeys. Brookie, I'm going to welcome to you. Nobody likes to eat McDonald's as much as our former boss does.
That's true.
We know that. But Mark Simone and others, and I put the question to Elise Stefanik, who's a very smart woman. This Al Smith dinner, not going to the Al Smith dinner in New York, and now the McDonald's, these could be major turning points for the entire campaign. All of a sudden, everyone is talking about Trump, and they're talking about him favorably, and all this stuff about he's a fascist and he's done this and done that. It's just water off a duck's back. How's that? I just made that up.
I love it. That was so good. You know, the history will judge, I believe, these last few days as an inflection point in the race to win the country back. And I know we see it in the polls. In 16, he was down 7 or 8 against Clinton. In 20, he was down, according to the polls, 7-8 against Biden. Today, he's up in every swing state by a little bit. But we see every day that trend continue. And I think we'll look back and we'll say the Al Smith dinner, her not attending, I thought he was extremely charming and actually hysterical. The Donald Trump that we knew in the Oval Office every single day for 3 years. And then the McDonald's, I mean, the forgotten men and women, the people that he represents, those Americans driving through the drive-thru, him leaning out to give them their French fries and their burger. That's the Donald Trump that we love, and that's who's going to win.
I liked it, actually. The more you see of this thing, I liked it. The McDonald's manager was giving him instructions how to do the fries, and he was reacting very well to those instructions. That's not necessarily typical, but he got the same thing. He got it right, though. He got it right. And you think all this is a turning point, Mark Simone?
Yeah, Donald Trump's a champion golfer. He wins club championships. The secret to that, you come alive on the 17th and 18th hole.
Ooh.
You do your best work. That started with the Al Smith dinner. McDonald's. Hey, people forget. He owns 100 restaurants. Yeah. And every one of his restaurants has the best hamburgers and French fries. There are 2 or 3 of them in every hotel and club. And this guy's purchased millions in kitchen equipment. And he's famous for always going in the kitchen to talk to everybody, see everything. He's comfortable there. He's got a larger-than-life personality. We know Kamala doesn't. That's the advantage. He's doing Joe Rogan on Friday. That's going to be the home run that clears the bases. That's going to be big.
Well, he's fearless. He's absolutely fearless. Yeah. You're dead right on that. Joe, I think the barbershop stuff is very interesting, too. It's like a 1, 2, 3 hit, okay? Al Smith, McDonald's, the barbershops. He's hit 2 or 3 barbershops. He goes in there. Yeah, he's a billionaire, but he's from Queens, okay? They get it. They're from the Bronx or wherever they get it from in Center City, Philadelphia. I mean, this stuff, first of all, it's brilliant campaigning. And second of all, he's had a lot of fun doing it. Have you noticed that?
That's the thing.
She looks like she just had the flu in the worst way possible, and she's not getting any good meds.
And this barbershop, very good. This barbershop wasn't in Texas or Alabama. It was in the Bronx, right? Yeah. Could you picture ever Kamala Harris going into a red state in a place where she may not be warmly accepted? Of course, that's never going to happen. You can always tell who's winning in a campaign by who's having a good time on the campaign trail. As far as these inflection points you're talking about, I agree. Al Smith and McDonald's. But before that, the VP debate. Boy, that changed the trajectory completely. Then the Butler PA rally goes back there and finishes what he starts. And then Kamala Harris's media blitz, where, again, we'll say it once, we'll say it again. She's the first Democrat ever to screw up an interview on The View, but somehow she did it because she couldn't answer how she's going to be different from Biden over the last 4 years. But that Fox News interview was watched by more people than any interview during this campaign season.
That was a bomb, wasn't it? I mean, the Fox News interview, Brett Baier is a great newsman. Brett Baier, it was a bomb. She bombed.
She did. And I will say, too, the next inflection point, I believe, will be this Sunday night here in New York City at Madison Square
Garden,
where I heard today from a legitimate source that they already have enough requests to fill Madison Square Garden 6 times over. 6 times over.
Are you going to get us all tickets to get in there?
Well, I may know some people who know some people, but it's going to be incredible, and that is his venue. These are his people. There are going to be people from all over the country flying in, but the vast majority are coming from Blue New York, who are sick and tired of what this country is facing under a Kamala regime.
And juxtapose that with what we're seeing today, or what we're not seeing today, guys. Guess how many campaign events Kamala Harris has with 14 days till a presidential election?
I can't imagine this because it's zero. It's zero.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
It's possible because she has 2 interviews tomorrow with NBC News and Telemundo, so she's prepping. At this point, 3.5 years into your vice presidency, and after campaigning for 3 months, you still need a full day to prep for NBC?
By the way,
Shut the front door.
Mark, 60 Minutes still won't release the raw transcript from that interview where they turned the word salad into an anti-Israel specific. But the fact is they won't release it. It's still a hot... I'm reading about it in the New York Post this morning. That story won't go away.
Well, the transcript either clears them completely or it shows there were a million edits and that they were totally guilty. They will not release the transcript. They've done it many times before. They will not do it. That tells you they're guilty.
And by the way, that interview went 46 minutes. We only saw 21 minutes. Can you imagine what that 25 minutes that they're hiding looks like?
Could be grim.
Yeah, I think so.
Really.
It's the Robert Hurt tapes all over again.
I don't think I want to know what's in there. All right, we're going to play some more tape. This is for you, Brooke, because this is campaign theme stuff. Roll it, please.
We're going to cut taxes and do all the things that we've done. We had the greatest economy we ever had just 4 years ago, and now we're going to have to do it again, but do it even better. What's going to bring us together is success. It's going to bring everybody together. Prior to COVID coming in, we had a unified country. It was amazing. Liberal, conservative, we were unified. Success will bring us together, and we're going to have tremendous success.
Brooke Rollins. Success will bring us together. That is such a huge theme. I hope he stays with it as a closing theme. What you make of it?
Well, you know well that the Trump economy and what you as head of National Economic Council and the team worked for was lifting all Americans, that all Americans would have a shot at the American promise. And that's what President Trump did in his first term. So the rest of us did great. That's wonderful. But really those at the margins of society are the ones who advance the most under a Trump economy. And I believe that's what he's talking about in that clip, that success brings everyone together. And that's what we'll see under a new Trump presidency.
One person is not going to be brought together, and I think this is incredibly stupid by the Kamala people, and that is campaigning with Liz Cheney, okay? Liz Cheney, who was, after attacking Trump, becoming a professional Trump hater, loses her congressional seat by 70-some-odd percentage points, having won it by the same amount before. Now she's losing it. She is a big hawk. I hate to say it, her father is a friend of mine and formerly a mentor, but what went wrong? They're regarded as war people, war hawks. It's not what the people in Michigan want to hear. It's not what the Muslims want to hear. And anyway, who's Liz Cheney? Who cares? What slice of the Republican Party does Liz Cheney represent exactly?
I disagree. Landslide Liz will turn this around. You know, 2 seconds ago, they wanted to arrest all the Cheneys, Halliburton, Guantanamo, waterboarding. They were ready to put them in the Hague war criminals. Now they're heroes.
Now, she's toting Liz Cheney around. I mean, this is as dumb as the McDonald's thing is smart on Trump's part. I mean, it's almost a mirror image. Who's Liz Cheney? Who cares about Liz Cheney? How many left-wing Republicans are there exactly anyway?
Well, Larry, when I think winner, I think Lombardi, Ali, Jordan, Brady, Serena Williams, Liz Cheney. She brings joy to the campaign trail.
No, she doesn't.
Who's next? Is Kamala Harris going to bring Charlie Crist out? Is that going to be the next move?
Oh, my God. You know, that is wonderful. Charlie Crist.
Oh, boy. And we're going to break.
Gotta stop, Rick. That's just so good. Brooke Rollins, Mark Simone, Joe Concha, Charlie Crist, and Liz Cheney. Who's next?